Good morning, fourth graders. Today, Miss Nealy is going to be going over 4 practice problems of adding denominators with 10 and hundredths. This is a skill we've worked on before, so we're just going to go over it again. The first problem is 3/10 plus 1/10, so the denominators are the same, so I can add just the numerators. You can see I have 2 models here. They're both in parts of 10. So that first block I'm representing 3/10, so 3 out of the 10 parts, and the second block I'm representing 1 out of the 10 parts. So I'm zooming in on the model here because I'm going to add basically my rods now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rods, so I have 4/10. You could just add the numerators like I'm doing here. 3 plus 1 is 4, but I also represented it with my model because it's out of 10 parts. So that represents the fraction 4/10. Here I'm just showing you that the model is out of 10 equal parts, so the square is divided into 10 equal parts, so it can represent tenths. I could also represent this with rod sticks, but my next problem, 5/10 plus 30 hundredths, I have unlike denominators, so I need to make equivalent fractions. I'm first showing you how to represent each of these fractions with a model. This is something we've been doing for our whole entire unit. So again, this square is divided into 10 equal parts, and my numerator is indicating that we are using 5 of those parts, so 5/10. Now my other fraction is 30 hundredths, and so the denominator tells me it has 100 parts. That's my whole, so it's 100. The numerator is telling us there are 30 of those though. So I saw that these looked like 10 sticks. We've been working with base 10 for a while, so I knew I needed to highlight 3 of them instead of writing and counting out 30 of them. So I just made an equivalent fraction. So the equivalent fraction is 30 100ths is equal to 3/10. They look like rods, and so we know rods represent tens, and so it looks like I have 3 of them. So I could have 5/10 plus 3/10, which would equal 8/10. I cannot add fractions with unlike denominators, so I have to make an equivalent fraction. Here I made 30 hundredths equivalent to 3/10, so then I was just adding tenths. And I could see that when I counted them together, or I combined them because I'm adding, I had 8/10. So moving on to number 3, we have another fraction that has unlike denominators, so we have to find an equivalent fraction. You may use the model that we've used before where we find equivalent fractions by multiplying the denominator and numerator by the same thing. I'm just showing you another model. So I'm showing you how I represent 7/10, the fraction as a model. I have my base 10 block, and it's divided into 10 equal parts. So I have 7 rods. You have some rods in your toolkits that you brought home with you. And then I have 30 100ths. So again, that's the same fraction we had earlier. Right above it, I can still see it. So the 100 parts, I get that from my denominator, and my numerator is telling me I need to use 30 of those. And so I have 10, 20, 30 if I'm counting by tens, and that's what my rods count by, is by tens. So I'm going to go ahead and model 30 100ths by highlighting this area. It's taking up a certain area. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 rods, or 10 sticks, however you want to call it. We've been calling them rods. So again, I can see 30 100ths is equivalent to 3/10, or 7/10 is equivalent to 70 100ths. So I have 7/10 plus 3/10, which is equal to 10/10 because I'm just adding my numerator. Or you could have done 70 100ths plus 30 100ths, which is what I'm doing here. to get 100 100ths, and I know both of those are equivalent to one whole. So here you're going to see me, I'm going to cut the 30 100ths, and I'm going to show you how that part overlaps. So it's equivalent to 3/10ths, and then when I combine those two numbers, I get 10/10ths, or one whole. The last practice problem we're going to do together is 2/10ths plus 4 100ths. So 2/10ths, I'm going to use the fraction part that's divided into 10 equal parts, and I'm going to highlight two of those. So 1, 2, and I'm highlighting those. Next we have 4 100ths, and I know it's going to be out of 100 equal parts, so the whole is divided into 100 parts, and the numerator, that 4, is telling me I need 4 of those parts. So I'm not looking for 4 40 hundredths, I'm looking for 4 hundredths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I can see highlighted in green because I have 4 parts, not 40 parts, but 4 out of 100 parts. Since these fractions are unlike denominators of tenths and hundredths, I have to make an equivalent fraction. So I'm going to make 2/10ths equivalent to hundredths. So I have to ask myself 10 times what is 100, because that's my denominator, and I know 10 times 10 is 100, and whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator to make it equivalent. So 2 times 10 is 20, so I have 20 100ths. So I have 20 100ths plus 4 100ths, which equals 24 100ths. So this is a skill that we have been practicing for a while now. I just went ahead and did 1 through 4 with you. So if your parents can print this sheet out, that's great. You can go ahead and put this in your green folder or your math journal. If not, you can just copy these next 4 problems into your math journal. So we're going to do 5, 6, 7, and 8 in your math journal. I want you to try this on your own and let me know how it goes. You can watch this video back if you need to. Please email me if you have any questions, and I hope you guys have a great day.